bot set up. Back to here and send out our Discord. So, hello everyone. This is Chris Ingerson, and it is January 10th, and this is the January 10th TextQuest Devstream. So today we are going to be focusing on audio integration with our menus. Um, so to give you a sense what I'm talking about, uh, currently the menus in TextQuest are functional, and they do everything they need to do in terms of visuals, but there's no audio when you do anything. So if, for example, I click on a button, it just takes you to the where whatever it's supposed to do, and it doesn't actually play any sort of audio to let you know that you've clicked on a button. There is highlighting, but again, that's visual. So this is all just a bunch of stuff. Oops, maximize on play. Double click on that. Okay, so we're just going to click through here. So we can do start. So you can see that we do get things like highlighting and tooltips and all that, but we don't actually get audio if we say click on extras. So you might have heard my actual mouse clicking, but that's not coming from the game, obviously. So if we go back, let's go to options. Again, nothing. So we're just going to go through and we're going to add some audio to the button clicks. And that's going to be done with a couple. It's going to be a little bit more complicated than it sounds, mostly because I want this to be done through Fmod, like everything else. And I also am going to be making some scripts to kind of just let me very easily play some specific sound effects through listening to button input, basically. So let's go ahead and stop playing. And I have a few things set up, or a few audio clips pulled into Fmod already, although I haven't actually set them up as Fmod sound events. But you can hear them real quick. Now, not all of these are going to be used. These were kind of just some that I pulled in to kind of get the ball rolling. I'm actually going to have to go through and like scrape through all my audio listening to it, which I was doing before the stream, but there's a lot of audio to listen through, and I think the thing that we're going to mostly probably end up using is maybe it's probably going to be this one of these two. And I pulled these in, even though they don't sound remotely like what I actually want, because there's actually an interesting premise that I hadn't thought of, which is whenever you enable and disable toggles, they should probably give you different sound effects. So, for example, when you enable an option, like I'm trying to think of what options I have that are enableable right now, like VSync, then it would do that, and then if you disabled it, it would play that. Just as a small, subtle audio cue that you turn something on or turn something off. So I just wanted to have these in there so that I could kind of get my mindset around that, and I would kind of know to approach that whenever I'm doing some code. Okay, so I think we're going to mostly focus on. Let's see, do we want that one? It's not very satisfying, actually. So I think we're going to go with this one. My intention was to kind of play a keyboard sound, but I think for now a short click will kind of be good enough for us to test. So I'm going to go ahead and minimize this. We're going to put this over here. Let's open up our sound effects. We're going to go to UI. I'm going to create a new 2D event. We're just going to call this button click. Okay. Let's drag this in. Put this. Now this I don't actually need to do much in Fmod for. I'm not really going to do any sort of like variation on pitch because I don't really see a need to do that. And there's no reason to do like volume effects. There's no reason to do any sort of fancy fading or anything like that. So we're just gonna kind of keep that as is. That's pretty simple. Let's go ahead and right click. I'm gonna say assign to master bank. I'm gonna make 2 more events for toggles and such. So this is gonna be toggle on. Let's go ahead and do this. We're just gonna kind of pull this over. Okay. Let's go ahead and say assign to bank, master bank. We're gonna create one more 2D event. It's gonna be our disable. Oh, I didn't name that. Toggle off. Put that up there. We're gonna say assign to bank, master bank. Let's go ahead and save that now. Let's go to file, build. Okay, so that should build out all of our new audio. Come back here to Unity. And as a quick thing to test, go ahead and collapse all of this because we don't really need these open. I'm going to want to go to audio, fmod. I guess that's the scripts. Oop. Okay, I was wondering when that would happen. Let's see, sound manager. Okay, I forget where I put it. So we're gonna go over here to sound manager. There's our fmod sound manager, fmod sound collection. Here we are. So we're gonna just create text quest collection. Okay. Well, that's a little awkward. It's not in text quest. Where did I put it? Oh no, I've forgotten where I put my own thing. Huh, that's interesting. None of that. Here we are. Okay, yeah. We're gonna call this sound collection dash UI. Oh, and before I forget, oh no, right, it's L. We're gonna be doing audio work with a bit of coding on top of that. So let's go ahead and we are going to start by dragging in some events. We're going to go to SFX, UI, let's go to button click. We will make this, it's going to be an effect, that's right. Let's add sound to that. Let's go ahead and add our other ones, toggle off, add sound, SFX, UI, toggle on, add sound. All right, so for this, we are going to want to name, probably just call this button click. We'll call this toggle off, toggle on. Okay, do we have anything? Nope, I think we're good there. Okay, so we should be good there. Let's go ahead and let's just add that to our sound manager. Which actually, I'm just going to go ahead and add it to this. Okay. And then we're going to need to do some scripting. So let's go over here. We're going to click on this. All right. And I'm going to thinking about how I want to structure this. Go ahead and say create folder. I probably should group these all under fmod, like a base fmod folder. So let's go ahead and before I do that, we'll create folder UI, and I'll just call this like create C# script. Fmod button sound, I guess, or no. Simple fmod. No. Fmod UI. Oh, geez, too many capitals. So this is something that will listen for a specific interaction. So I guess it's a fmod. I can't say that either. Fmod button sound player. God, what a terrible name. Fmod button sound. Sure. We can do that. Okay, let's go ahead and open that up. That's not a terrible name. Fmod button sound. Not ideal, but not a terrible one. while that's opening up, I'm going to take a drink. So what this script is going to do is pretty simple. It's basically just going to listen for a Unity button and text request. Yeah, that will be a mono behavior. .ui. So it's basically just going to listen for a button, and when it finds that button, it is going to it's basically going to listen for either interactions for like on click, on hover exit, yada yada yada. And then when that event is detected, it will fire the audio that it's targeting. Oh, excuse me. So we're gonna go ahead and say serialize field private. Oh, you know what? We're not done here. We're gonna need to say using fmod, and I don't think we're gonna need to use sleepyl common. Will we? No, pretty sure we won't. Fmod sound. No, it's gonna be an int, isn't it? Int sound is equal to 0. We're going to make this an fmod sound ID. Okay. And on top of that, we are going to need a type of interaction, which is going to make things a little more interesting. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and serialize field private button. I guess we'll just call it button. And then I'm also going to go ahead and come up here and say require component type of button, which I'm hoping won't come back to bite me. And let's see here. So the idea is that we're just going to place these on whatever buttons we have, so they're not going to be apart from that. And I'm going to do a private void on validate, which I never do. So this will be interesting because on validate is, I believe, only Unity editor. If and what we're going to do here is we're just going to say if button is equal to null, button is equal to get component button. So the onValidate function, if I remember correctly, because I've never actually really used it, is fired at specific points in the editor. I think it's basically whenever a component has any of its values adjusted, but it also happens when you place the component on the object initially. And so you can use that as a convenience to just like auto-detect a bunch of references and just set it up for you, which is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to essentially assign this button. And we're just going to leave that down at the very bottom. So I'm going to say private void start. Okay, that was weird. Start. And we're just going to say if button does not equal null, button, oh, right, we can't do anything with that yet. We need to determine what type of interaction it's going to be. So let's go ahead and let that compile. And I think we're going to need a folder that I'll call like enums. And these will be our interactions, basically. I'm pretty sure this is not already an enum anywhere built into Unity, because it's all just kind of like a vague understanding of what buttons can do and such. So we're going to be making our own enum for this. That's basically going to wrap on hover enter, on hover exit, on pointer down, on pointer up. And I think that might be it. I'm pretty sure that I don't have anything else for that. So I'm going to turn on the UI here. Let's turn off loading, and let's pull in some of this fun stuff. We're going to go to our main menu to start. Prefabs, view main. Let's just kind of pull this in. Turn you on. Come up to here, content, continue button. All right, so these are our events: on click, on press, on release, on hover enter, hover exit. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. We won't really listen for on click. Well, I get this is gonna complicate so many things, isn't it? I guess. I guess for now we'll just have it go to click, since it's gonna be targeting the base buttons. If I had it targeting things like my event button, then I could probably do more, but I don't really need to do more, honestly. So I think we can just get away with on click for now. So we're just gonna say come up to here, private. Oh my goodness, I can't spell. Void on button clicked. Okay, and then we're just gonna say fmod sound manager dot play fmod sound. Right. Peak definition. I really not have one that doesn't take anything? I guess I kind of can't. That is a bit odd. Because I feel like we could get away with something like this. Public static fmod sound source play fmod int sound ID. Like that doesn't seem to create any errors. Oh wait, we got one error. Oh right, that's fair. So we're just gonna say return play fmod sound ID followed by null followed by false, I guess. Okay, and that pretty much does what we want there. So that means we can go back to here. We can just say play fmod because it's going to be a 2D sound. We don't actually need to parent it to anything. It should be fine. Then we will go ahead and come down here, and we're just going to say button.onClick.addListener on button clicked. Okay, and that pretty much should do everything that we want. So I don't really need that fmod stuff there. So let's go ahead and let's let that compile. And then we should be able to assign it to our event button here and just kind of get the ball rolling. Once we have that working for the continue button, it will be pretty easy to just kind of apply it to all of our buttons. And then we'll get into things like toggles. Okay. Well, while that's compiling, trying to think of anything interesting that's going on in the tech world right now. I saw that GitHub has made all of its free accounts able to have unlimited repos, which is nice. Yeah, that's fine. So let's go ahead and go down to here. Fmod sound. We have our there you go. This is what I was talking about. So the button was automatically populated as soon as I attached the script. That's what onValidate lets you do. But I'm pretty sure that you do have to wrap it in this if Unity editor stuff, because I think if you try to make a build with onValidate still in your code, no, never mind. It's fine, because if it's still in your code, it's not like this is a weird editor only thing. It just means that this would never get called. So, meh. So you'd probably actually be fine. So I'm going to go ahead and say button click. That is the sound that we want. So I'm just going to do it for all of our buttons. We might as well. So let's go ahead and add that. Fmod button sound. I'm just going to do that. Make it be button click. Okay. So let's go ahead and say turn that off. Let's apply this. off. All right. So in theory, when we play to our main menu, we should be able to click on something and it should just play the sound. We should. Oh no, it won't. It will not. And the reason that it will not is because I do not have a listener set up on my camera. So if I hit start here and I hit like extras. Oh, so it did play it, but I'm wondering if it just like automatically found a camera. So let's go ahead and stop playing. So I'm going to select UI. I think I can put it on here. No, I cannot. Maybe I can probably do it here. So we're going to add a component. We're going to go to fmod. We want the studio listener. Oh, I might not even have to disable it, which would be nice. So I'm going to put that there, and real quick, I'm going to find the player prefab. I'll just go do it manually. Prefabs. Player hero. Let's go to our camera. Excuse me. Dang it. I'm going to have to drag it in. Main camera. Why? Wow. Thanks, Windows. Hold on, everyone. Windows wants to update. I'm going to say tomorrow sometime. Okay. That's interesting. Where is my... It doesn't have my listener on there already? I didn't put it on the root, did I? No. That's interesting. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and I guess we'll just do this real quick. Okay, we're going to go to the main camera here, and I'm just going to add it to this. So we're going to say fmod studio listener. Let's go ahead and move that up a fair amount. All right. I don't know for sure. I'm going to edit this script because I'm curious. I don't know if a lower index is better or if a higher index is better. So let's find out. Set listener location. Let's peak definition. Listener index. Peak definition. Listener. Does it not matter? Yeah, as I say, at a certain point, I'm sure this is just going to go to a DLL, and it did. So great, that's cool. Well, real quick, let's go ahead and jump back here. I am curious, so I'm going to go to okay, one of these things. Okay, fine. Hold on. I'm gonna look this up real quick. I'm not sure. Usually, when you have an index like that, either the lowest or the highest one takes priority, and all the other ones kind of shut off. So, okay, interesting. So maybe it doesn't really matter? Question mark. I might have to manually set that, which we will find out. So cool. Let's go ahead and I'm gonna go back to the UI I'm going to do the UI camera. We're going to set this to be a listener 10. Oh, okay, I can only go to 8. I guess you'll be 5. Because I'm thinking that what we're going to do is we're going to do um, the main UI listener is going to be kind of higher up. That doesn't mean it has priority, it just means it's a higher number. And we want the hero to be 0, so it's the lowest. And I'm assuming the highest priority, just because that's usually how these things work. And then any cameras that are for, say, like the main menu to show you the level that you're currently in, those will probably be at like a 2 or a 3. I guess probably a 3, because that's halfway between 0 and 5. But that should give us pretty good flexibility. I'm thinking that I won't have to have different listener indexes for those because there's only ever one active at a time. So let's try that. Okay. So in theory, I should be good to just kind of go ahead and play this, and it shouldn't like spam warnings at us about not having a listener. At least that's the hope, anyway. Not digging the CPU, or not digging the debug stuff. I really wish that I could toggle that. I bet I can. I just have to find it, because that's super annoying. So we're gonna go to extras. Oh, I bet. Well, no, that's weird. Why are you mad? If listener is greater than or equal to 0 and listener is less than the number of listeners, which makes me think that it hasn't updated properly, which is curious. Okay. Maybe I should just make that part of this instead. Maybe. I don't know. Because I would think that the setup we currently have is actually perfectly functional, but it seems like it's not. It could just be that it's trying. Oh, that doesn't make sense. I don't know. I'll have to look into these. But for now, okay. So that does seem to be working. Obviously, that's not working. Um, so we're going to set that up for all of our buttons. So let's go ahead and we're going to collapse that. Open up UI, turn it on, and let's see here. So we're going to need quite a few things. We are going to want not just the main menu. We're going to want to have. Let's start simple with the options menus. We're going to go to all of these. Okay. So we have this. And here is where things get kind of interesting because well, they're sliders. I'm trying to think of how other games handle inputs, like text inputs, like the input field here. Because I don't remember if they make a clicking sound or not. Most of the options that I can remember usually are yawns. Are usually either buttons or toggles of some kind or sliders. And sliders are important, but they're also difficult to work with. So, what to do here? Well, for the time being, I suppose I could simply have button sound effects on apply and cancel, which, by the way, makes me realize that I do need to have a negative button click. So let's go ahead and try to find one. I need like a, pretty much like this, just because I want whenever you hit a back button, I would like it to play like a back sound effect, kind of. I wonder if I can get away with actually just kind of duping this. negative. Try that. I don't really. Okay. And here is where it's going to get fun because I've not really done too much with this. So I kind of want to see if I can play it backwards. Um, which would probably be pitch. Mm, It's it's interesting that I can't actually go into the negative pitch values. That's oh wait, maybe I can. Ah, I can't. It's clamped. That sucks. Okay. Um. Hmm. Let's see. No, we don't need a side change. There's side chain. Oh, there's Google plugins. That's kind of cool. Hmm. High pass, low pass. Don't really need that. Multivan, limiter gain, flanger. Or is that a flanger? I think it's flanger. Um, delay, distortion. Distortion might be useful. Let's go ahead and delete that. Ooh, that. Nah, nah, that's not particularly useful. So let's see. We can. Chorus. Not really. This is just because I wanted to see what it sounds like. That's kind of sad. I guess probably chorus is not going to work on a sound effect that's not very long. Okay, so I guess the only real effect that we can get out of there is some pitch shifting. That's actually not too bad, honestly. Um, like, so this is positive, and this is negative. It's it's very subtle, but this is also kind of like a gray box audio demo, so not really a demo, but a gray box audio approach. So I'm just kind of trying to get things functioning, and then I'll come back through probably when I'm off air and I can actually comb through all of my audio without being boring, and I'll replace all the sounds then. So I think for now we're gonna just leave it with this. So let's go ahead and say assign to bank, master bank. Let's go ahead and go to file, build. That'll go out. Let's come back here. That should now load back up. Let's go to our sound collection. We're going to add a new sound. Yep, it's going to do that. So let's try that one more time. Sound effects, UI, button click negative. We're going to add that sound. Oh. Oh, okay. I was like, what's happening here? Okay, so we're going to call this button click negative. Negative. Okay. It unfortunately does not refresh. Okay. So let's go ahead and save that. We're going to go off of this, come back here, and then it'll, of course, refresh. So we don't have an instance limit. We don't have to worry about looping and all that stuff. Okay, so let's go here to our buttons. We're going to add two whole things. I should probably just drag it. I probably need to add a custom component menu for it. It'll make it a little bit easier. So for the apply, we want it to be our button click, and for our cancel, we want it to be button click negative. Let's go ahead and save that. And I think that should pretty much do what we want for this. I'm not sure if I really need it for the testing buttons. I guess I can. So I might as well come over here. So sound effects, music, and ambience volumes. We'll go to all of our test buttons. Let's just add this, make it the button click, and that's pretty much it. So let's collapse all of that, collapse that. I don't have anything currently for how we should handle audio when we're dragging the sliders around. I don't really know what to do there, honestly. because I would basically have to have like a repeater almost. But maybe I can get around that. Let's try that actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a new script. I'm gonna call this fmod um, fmod slider sound. It's probably good. Um, I'm also, I think, going to make a base script called like fmod UI sound. So we'll call this like fmod UI sound. It just sucks that it's like so many capital letters, um, especially because it's probably going to be a component that looks like fmod UI sound. Um, but it is what it is. Okay, so that's going to be the base class for I think all of our fmod whatever sounds. Let's go ahead and make this text quest. We're going to make this. I don't really need much here. This is pretty basic. It is going to be a mono behavior. We're just going to call this serialized field protected int sound is equal to 0. We're going to make this an fmod sound ID. Pretty straightforward. That's pretty much all we need to do for that script. Let's go ahead and let that compile. Come back here. We're going to jump over to our slider sound and make this in text quest. Make this part of fmod UI sound. God, that looks fmodui or fmodui. That's what it looks like. Okay. So on top of that, we're going to need to say using Unity engine.ui. We'll have a serialized field, private, slider. All right, and from here, we're going to probably say private void on validate again. So we're just going to say if slider is equal to null, slider is equal to get component slider. Okay, come back up to here. We're going to say private void start, and then we're just going to say if slider, let's see what we do. Slider does not equal null. Then I'm going to say slider dot on. So I don't think I want on value changed. I don't have a choice. Crap. Do I have like an is active and enabled? Nope. Gross. Come on. Dang it. I was hoping for an on begin and on end edit, which I think might have been a thing at one point, but no longer is. Actually, know what I need it to be. Slider dot on value changed anyway. We're going to leave that alone for now because I need to come up here and actually make the function. So we're going to say private void on slider value changed. Okay, and we're going to say dot add listener blah 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 on slider value changed, which is going to take a float value. Okay, and for this we actually have to do something a little more extra. We're going to say private float cooldown is equal to 0f, and then after we have our slider, I'm going to say serialized field private float frequency. It's not a great name for it, but it's the best I can think of. So this is essentially going to be how often the sound is played, which actually does line up with frequency. But essentially, when you're scrubbing it, it's not going to be like a which is my attempt to make a sliding sound. Instead, it's going to be like every 0.1 seconds, so it'll be instead of like playing it all at once or once per frame, basically. And we're going to set this to probably something like 0.1f. I honestly think that might actually be too high. It might need to be lower than that. I'm just going to go ahead and throw a tooltip here, and we're going to say how often no. Time between sounds when adjusting the slider. Okay, And all we're going to do is come down to here. We're going to say private void update. Okay. And we're going to say if cooldown is less than 0. No, that's actually not what we want. We're just going to say if cooldown is greater than 0f. Then I'm just going to say cooldown minus equals time.delta time. And that is all we need to do. So we're going to do that. Okay. And then we will say on slider value changed. If I don't know if I can do that actually. So thank you, Colonel Sped, for the follow. Also, welcome to the Devstream. So if I make it only check when the slider value is actually changed, that means that it won't play sound effects if you have it clicked but you're not moving it, and that's good. But the downside of that is that you have to be scrubbing it when you do that. And you know what? It's probably not an issue. So let's just test it out. So we're going to say if cooldown is less than or equal to 0f, then we're just going to go ahead and say this. We're going to say cooldown plus equals frequency. Okay, and then we're going to do our whole fmod sound manager dot play fmod. Then we'll pass in sound. Okay, and that is, I believe, all we need to do. So let's go ahead. Actually, I'm also going to go ahead and make this frequency have a range. Oops, range. If I could spell. 0f to, I'm guessing 1f. That's probably enough. Okay. I don't think I need anything else for this script. I think we're pretty good. So let's go ahead and save that, and I'm going to just let that compile. And while that's happening, I forgot to do the whole require component type of slider. I got to change the other script later once that compiles anyway, so we'll let that go. I'm going to take a drink. Anywho, so once we have the slider and button stuff working pretty much the way we want, I think the next one will be our toggle. I don't have very many toggles, honestly, in the menus. Excuse me. I don't have very many toggles in the menus, honestly, but you know, the few that I have, I do want to have toggle-specific audio functionality, so okay. Let's go ahead and open this back up. Go to our content. I need one for all 4 of these. We're just going to go to the slider. And I am going to just drag this on here. We will say our sound is button click for now. Not super great, but that's probably good enough. All right, so we'll let that go. Let's go ahead and turn off our root, hit apply. All right, and for now, I'm going to delete that. I don't think we need it. I'm going to go ahead and set up the base options menu real quick, and then we'll jump in to test the audio, because that's the slider stuff is something I'm actually kind of curious to test out. So real quick, we're going to grab all of our buttons here, add our button sound. Most of them are going to be button click. However, the back button is going to be button click negative. That's pretty much all I got to do there. So let's go ahead and shut that off. Hit apply. All right. Okay, and then I'm going to turn off this UI. And let's give that all a shot right now. So we should have the first main menu functioning with audio. Let's click through all this. I don't have the title screen working with it yet, though. So we're going to go to Options, back. That's kinda okay. Also, hello, Jalmega. Welcome back. How you doing tonight? I actually don't think that's too annoying, but let's go ahead and test that out real quick. So I'm gonna come over here to view container, audio options. Let's open this up. Go down to. I'm just gonna change this. We're gonna make this. I don't know. Let's double that to 0.2. Okay, that's too much. 0.1 again. Okay, how about 0.15? No. 125. Oh god, it comes off as like awkward triplets. Um, oof. Let's try for 1.1. That sounds almost indistinguishable from 2. From 1. I'm not really sure if I need this, honestly. It comes off as a little annoying. Ugh. Good. Well, if I wasn't sick, pile a very small subset of my programming language. Oh, hey, silver linings. Coming down with something. Okay, so this is the with a 0.1. This is with 0.12. And this is, I'm going to give, come down here to sound effects. I'm going to change this one to be, if I can, there we are. I'm going to change this one to be like 1 whole second. So it's basically nothing. But that's the thing, right? I don't really know if, oh yeah, it's just going to keep doing, oh no, it won't. Okay, that's cool. I don't really know if I need to have a sound effect. Not sure, honestly. I kind of think that it's best without sound or without sound effects when I'm scrubbing. The sound effects would be better if this was on a console game, for example, and you had to move in like fixed increments, like that, because then it would be very obvious. But since this is on PC, you don't really have that problem, so there's no real need for that. You have visual indicators that you're doing it, and it's just kind of annoying to constantly hear. So I think we're going to get rid of the Fmod slider sounds. We'll probably keep the script, but I don't think I'm going to use it right now. So that's good. Not sure if I really need that, but okay. I probably should actually make them. Oh, I do. It's just very subtle. I need to make that much more dramatic. You can see that they do highlight and depress and all that, but they're not very obvious. Let's go ahead and stop playing. Okay, let's turn on our UI again. We're going to scrub down to here. Let's pull back our audio options. Okay, so we're going to come down to here, open these all up. Let's go to our sliders. We will remove this. Okay. I will also go ahead and just make these test buttons a little more crud. That's why. Cool. Crud. Okay. That's probably why I didn't really focus on them. So I need to basically make it so that highlighting over this will affect the text and our background as well, which is not great. Let's go ahead and also set these to be none. Oh wait, no, I want that for these. So hold on. Okay. So I think that's pretty much all we want from this menu. go ahead and collapse that. Turn it off. Hit apply again. Okay. So let's go to our graphics options because I think that will be the one that gives us toggles. Close enough. Actually, let's do game. No, let's do display options. That one, it has toggle types. Shoot, that complicates things so much. So these are buttons, but they act like toggles. Boo. So that means I need to figure out how I want to handle. Well, okay. So I'm not sure what a good way to handle this without overcomplicating it would be. I mean, I would have to remake them as toggles if I wanted to make use of that functionality, but I really, really don't. So instead, okay, I'm going to have to change some scripting or add some an extension of button sound. So first things for, I guess let's go ahead and just do this. I'm going to create a new C# script. I'm going to call this fmod settings button sound. Ugh, this is rough. Settings button sound. Fine, we'll keep that. Since when is 19 by 20 by 1080 screen ratio 16 by 10? It's not. This is just like placeholder text that gets populated at runtime. So this stuff will actually refresh when you open this menu, and it'll automatically set the appropriate ratios and all that. So yeah, that's not actually correct. That's just kind of placeholder text until it generates at runtime. Okay. So once it compiles, I'll be able to open it up. But until then, I'm stuck, which is sad. Yeah, I'm not that bad at ratios. Okay, so we're going to come up to here. We're going to say settings button sound. All right, we're going to make this part of the text request namespace. This is going to derive from fmod button sound. We're going to go down to fmod button sound right over here. This is going to derive from fmod UI sound, which means that we will not need this anymore. And we will also not need these. Okay. And I'm going to have to make this virtual, which is interesting. Protected virtual void on button clicked. We are going to come over to here. We're going to just override on button clicked. And instead of doing that, we're going to come up to here. We're going to say serialize field followed by sound ID. Okay, then private int off sound is equal to 0. Okay. And for this, that complicates things so very much. And it really sucks because it means that my inspector for this is basically going to be like a sound, a button, and then a sound. And that's just hideous. Ugh. This stuff couldn't be done in my language. The concept of structs and classes is not implemented yet, sadly. Oof. What do you currently have functioning then? Because I know you had something compiling before, like last December, but I don't remember exactly what it was. Okay, anyway, so we're gonna come down to here, and for this, it gets to be more difficult. I need to know. Oh, geez, this complicates things so very much. Jeez. So I need to know what to target, and that complicates things so very much. So I guess I'm gonna do this. Game settings, I think, is what I called it. Yeah, dot. So I do have all of this fun stuff, but it's not quite. God, this is gonna suck so hard. Okay. Um, so I basically need an enum with all of the game settings stuff. And I can't use the settings ID because that's not actually useful. Um, I guess I can test that. So settings utility dot settings ID dot. I mean, am I using this anywhere besides that like one line, basically? I guess there are a few places, but it could be all carryovers, admittedly. Maybe. Well, if that's the case, this actually would be much easier. Find all references in game settings, but those are both in getBool, which is not actually useful. Shoot. Okay. So, dang. Um, right. So we have this stuff, which is all handled from here. Hold on. Refresh audio, instance that makes for volume range, refresh gameplay settings. Refresh key binding settings, save settings, load. Right. Here is where things get to be more frustrating. Um, so I think what I can do is I can basically make use of this. I'm going to say serialized field private settings utility dot settings ID target setting is equal to settings ID. Do I have a none? Yeah. And all we're going to do here is, I think, check if it's a bool. So we're just going to say, nope, 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 that won't work because there is no generic get bool. I mean, I do have it, but it's legacy. I don't want to use it. That's the irony. Okay, so that essentially means that I need to do a switch statement here. Switch target setting. And I'm just going to have to make it a bool. So I'm going to just say case settings ID dot. Let's try to find the ones that I have. Controls FOV, controls invert mouse, X, breakout. Let's go ahead and copy these. Inverse mouse Y. Oops, that's not what I meant. Let's see. For December, nothing complicated or nothing compiled. Okay, but now for now I have basic types, basic operations, assignment, if, while, do while, and for and function calls. Nice. Currently working on pseudostructs or tuples. Is it tuples? I guess it's tuples. Yeah, it's tuples. For some reason, I always want to read that as tuples. Let's see. Controls, mouse X sensitivity, toggle crouch. Let's go ahead and come back down here. Display frame rate. I don't remember that. Okay. Oh, okay. It's not saying display frame rate as in like display the frame rate. It's display frame rate as in display options frame rate. Duh. Um, okay, so that's full screen. We're gonna come back over here. Refresh height vsync. Just kind of like getting all of the bools that I can think of. Sensitivity, show word hints. Okay. Dot. Let's see. Game So controls, toggle, crouch. Great. So I've got two different things there. For now, we're going to use that. Come back over here. Let's see, graphics A type, Nisa, tropic filtering, shadow distance, texture quality, texture res. Don't need the key bindings, and we don't need that. Okay. So I think this is all we need, which is not great, but it works. All right. So we're gonna say here if game settings dot invert mouse X, then we'll say sound manager dot play fmod, and then we're just going to do the sound, and then we're going to go ahead and say else sound manager dot play fmod off sound. Okay, I'm going to copy this and basically paste it everywhere. So okay, and now we just kind of swap things around. Toggle crouch, full screen, vsync. Is that an int? Crap, it is an int. So I'm gonna have to say if it's equal to 1, I think. No, if it's equal to 0, then I'm gonna play that sound. Okay, so word int amount is equal to 0. Maybe. My peak definitions here. I'm not sure. We might just do that. Okay, and as far as game toggle run goes, this is going to be toggle run. And I don't have one for auto move, go figure, so I'm going to have to add that. Alright. So let's try that out. I think that will work. I think. I'm also using LLVM for the last stage for the compilation, since I didn't want to spend a lot of time figuring out ASM yet. I'm going to replace LLVM with my own backend. Currently using the pseudo backend, which gets converted to LLVMR. And you lost me, admittedly. I have not delved nearly enough into low-level programming like that. I wish I have, but I have not. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and come up to here. We're going to go to our content grid. Okay, so for these, we're going to want to have these guys. Oh, and you know what? While I'm in here, let's go ahead and add some components to these. So we're going to say add component menu. We'll do text quest slash audio slash UI or fmod slash UI slash settings button. Okay, let's go ahead and copy that. We're going to come down to here, paste this. Hold on. Paste that. This will be UI button. Pretty basic there. Slider. Let's go ahead and do that. Also say require component type of slider. This is going to be our slider. All right. I could probably also give it an order just to make sure that things work. So we'll do slider as 10. We'll do button or settings button as 5, probably. No, we'll do it as 6 actually, with button as 5. Okay. So let's go ahead and let that compile. So now I should be able to hit the add component menu and just kind of add it that way. That way I don't constantly have to drag it onto there and make sure I get it right. At least that's the idea. Oh man. Stretch. Okay. So, there we are. Go ahead and say add component. I'm pretty sure that this is correct. Yep. TextQuest, audio, fmod, UI. These are buttons, and these are just going to do the regular button click. We don't actually care about that. Alright, then we have the refresh rate button, which is itself a regular button, our frame rate button, and our adjust gamma apply, and this. Actually, they're all going to be buttons, I guess, aren't they? So let's go ahead and add component, TextQuest, audio, fmod, UI. This is going to be right. We'll make them a button for now. With button click for the most part. For VSync and full screen, we're actually going to remove that, and instead we're going to make it TextQuest, audio, fmod, UI, settings button. Okay, sound is going to be button click. Off sound is going to be button click negative, and target setting is different. The back button is also going to be button click negative. Okay, so for VSync, we want this to be target setting. Display VSync, and for this, it's going to be display full screen. And that's pretty much all we need, I think. So let's let that go and try it. Oh wait, no, hold on. Oh no, that's correct. Yeah, so these guys are set up. So let's try that out. We're gonna go ahead and turn this off. Hit apply. Okay, I'm gonna keep that in there for now. Turn that off, and let's try this out. Wow, ReSharper just taught me something. You can switch on the type of two variables. Example, case, built-in symbol. Case, built-in symbol type, built-in, when type 1 is built-in symbol type, built-in 1. Wait, really? Hold on, I'm gonna have to look at that. That could actually be pretty cool. Options, we're gonna go to, I think it was display. Okay, it's pretty good. Now we can do, ooh. Okay, so I want to flip that around, I guess. That makes sense. Oh, that's correct. This is backwards, though. So I would expect this sound when I click now. I'm getting the opposite of that. So let's open that up. So display options, root, content. So that's happening on our full screen. Button click negative. That's interesting. Did I do this wrong? If game settings at full screen. Maybe this is, I don't know, it's not hard-coded to do anything stupid. Huh. Versus, say, something like VSync is equal. Oh, it could be that VSync equals to 0 is. But yes, I did get these backwards, so I do have that wrong. So I want these to actually be off sound and then regular old sound. So cool, I gotta basically flip all of these. Which makes sense. I just didn't think that through all the way. So you're saying that you can do like this? Or what do you mean? You can switch on the type of two variables. Case built in. So it'd be this. Oh. So when target setting is wait. So you need you need the second variable for that then. Okay. Also, hello Garrett. Welcome back. How are you doing today? So we can do this. So when off sound is equal to 0f or 0 like that. No. Oh, it's okay. So I can't do it because it's in because it's not C#7. Okay. Well, that's sad. Also, Garrett, I apologize. I feel like my comment sounded disingenuous for some reason after I said it. So hopefully you are actually doing well. Yeah, not sure if it works on runtime since I think it's compiled. Okay. Yeah. Still though, that's cool. I didn't know that you could do that, but sadly I can't use it. The curse of C# 4.0. Actually 3.5 I'm pretty sure. I don't think I've really updated it for. I haven't had a need to. Okay, so we can let that compile and that should fix everything. So we'll go ahead and let that go, and I think we'll be good. So once we have that functioning as expected, it should let us have a little bit more responsive UI. Again, it's all going to be placeholder for now, but not the end of the world. And what's really fun is I can actually just kind of cheat later on. Ooh, that's right. That's the nice thing about doing sounds like this is that it's very easy for me to replace them later. I don't have to go through and manually redo them. I can just kind of shuffle values around, and everything should keep its reference. So let's go ahead and where are you? Here we are. So I'm going to go ahead and put some space. I got the hiccups. Put some spaces in here just to make it a little bit more legible. Okay. Let's collapse these all. All right. So that is. Let's go ahead and play it again just to be sure. But I think that will have our like toggle type buttons playing different sound effects depending on if the option is on or off. So the curse of C# with Unity. Very true. Although I think 2019 is supposed to have C#7 support. Or maybe they were just saying they were trying to do C#7 support. Because I know that 2018 has 4.0 support, but I don't know. Looking at implementing auto unpacking while realizing I need to change quite a bit of how declarations are generated. So going okay, working on our fmod emitter pool. Oh yeah? Well, that's fun. I just did that recently, actually. Getting used to getting fmod sounds to play arbitrarily. Because their example code is not super clear about the fact that fmod sounds get cached. And therefore, once you play if you're using just the built-in components, like once you play a sound with it, it's like, well, that's the only sound it will ever play. So, fun. Yeah, well, see, that's the weird thing is like fmod docs are pretty decent about getting things up and running, but they're terrible after that. Because like it does a pretty good job of walking through on how to like attach components and like the basic theory of the system. But it's pretty atrocious after that. If you want to do anything advanced, it's like why would you want that? Okay, options. We're gonna go to audio. Oh no, wait. We don't want that. Although it is nice to have both of those sound effects playing. Display. Okay, so this should play the off sound. This should play the on sound. Nice. Cool. Let's see if I can tap it real quick. Okay. So we can do that. Adjusting gamma here. Oh, crud. Probably. So actually, that's not too bad. I just need to hit it on. Oh, shoot. Nope, that complicates things. Oh man, modals. Modals just complicated everything. So these, jeez. Okay. Um, so for these buttons, these are prefabs, and specifically they're one prefab that's just populated multiple times. So that means I can't really conveniently do like different button sound effects for this, even though I want to have different sounds depending on if you hit cancel or apply. So that means I need to change it so that the modals themselves know what sounds to play depending on the actual option. That's actually not too bad. Actually, no, and the modals don't need to care about that. Instead, I can just have it be on the menu that requested it. That works? Question mark? Ugh, not very good. I guess I could pass that information in from the. I mean, either way, the main menu needs to know it. So, nah. Okay. Scriptable objects, the answer to all problems. What do you mean? For playing Fmod? Yeah. Okay, so we do have the toggle stuff working. Well, the button or toggle-like buttons audio working. So if we hit back, cool. So let's go ahead and set it up for the other menus, and we'll get to modals in a second. Okay, so let's turn this on. Get rid of display options because we're done there. Let's go to game options. Content. All of the toggles are here. Okay. So let's go ahead and come back down to our scripts. Okay. So I don't need an enum. I might need an enum in a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and say create C# script fmod toggle sound. Okay. I'm actually kind of wondering now if it will play these audios when I open the menu. I don't think it will. I think we'll be fine, but I'm a little worried about that. So text quest. Oh, no, you're not wrong. Usually, if there is a problem, scriptable objects are surprisingly helpful in trying to solve them. But there are definitely times where scriptable behavior or scriptable objects are not quite enough, which sucks. So we're gonna make this an fmod UI sound. All right, and we're gonna go ahead and come up here and say require component type of toggle, which is not gonna do anything. So we're gonna do this, and it's gonna complain until I come up here and say this. Not editor. Engine.ui. Okay. And then we're just going to go down to here. Actually, before I do any of that, we're going to go over to here. Not to here. Sure, why not? Yep, hold on. Copy this. Paste that here. We're going to make this 8, I guess. This will be our toggle. Okay. So we're going to say private void on validate. Not going to do anything there yet. We're going to say serialize field, private toggle, I guess. Serialize field, sound ID, private int off sound is equal to 0, which I will actually position above my toggle because I might as well. Okay. And on validate, we're just going to say if toggle is equal to, if I can spell equals even, is equal to null. I'm going to say toggle is equal to get component. Toggle. Okay. And then we're going to go out here, say private void start. If toggle does not equal null, toggle dot on value changed, dot add listener, blah blah blah. We're going to go up to here. I'm going to say private void on toggle changed bool value. Okay. I'm going to make this on toggle changed. Come up to here. And we're just going to say if value, then fmod sound manager dot play fmod sound. Yes, I believe that's what we want. And then we're just going to copy this. Oops, that works too. Else that, and this is going to be off sound. All right, I think that's pretty much all we need to do. That should properly set up everything in the inspector, as well as handle just toggling them on and off. I think that's pretty much all we need to do. So let's let that compile. While it's going on, I'm going to take a drink. Oh, man. It feels good to be back to streaming. I felt really bad the past week where like everything came up that was possible to prevent me from streaming for a whole week. I was planning on streaming basically the Thursday after New Year's. But did I get called into work that night? Yeah, I think I was working late that night. And then on Saturday, I snapped my back in half playing Beat Saber. And then on Tuesday of this week, I had a game dev thing. Ooh, this looks great. I love this. Jeez, that was terrifying. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and welcome back. 'Tis the season to get sick. Yeah, a lot of people I know are getting sick. Video game injury. I was playing Beat Saber, which is a VR game, and one of the things that it's basically, if you haven't seen it, it's kind of like DDR but in VR, and you're basically swinging at things to get points. But one of the obstacles that they have are these like giant blocks of red wall, and you have to avoid them. And some of them you can't avoid left or right; you have to duck underneath, and it's at high speed. So I think I'm just an old guy who just ducked too soon or too fast. So my back was like, well, we're gone now. And so I spent most of the weekend in pain. Um, and I'm mostly recovered now. I think I'm like 95% recovered. So all I really feel is like a very, very slight twinge in my back that I think will heal up over time. So that was not fun though. For the first 2 days that I had it, it was quite painful. Even worse because I had to ride my bike into work, like almost immediately after I did it. So I was just like, oh my god, keep your back as straight as possible and try not to run over any bumps. It was quite painful. Anyway, okay, so shoot. Of course, that's how I chose to do it. Instead of making these actual toggles. Why didn't I make these toggles? Because of hovering, of course. Right. So, well, I guess it doesn't matter. Unfortunately, I have kind of set these up. I guess okay. Cool. So I don't actually have a use for toggles, which makes me sad because this would have been so much easier. Okay. Right. Well, that kind of puts a wrench in things. Just makes it more difficult for me, honestly. Doesn't make it impossible. It just means I have to kind of do a little bit more. Yeah, and it was lower back pain too, which meant like anytime I was transitioning from a lying down state to sitting up was super painful. The first night I had trouble getting off of my couch. I was just like, oh god, old age. And even now, like I don't really get it now anymore, fortunately. Although I feel it a little bit, but it's not painful really. And whenever you're trying to like get out of a chair, you know how your upper body kind of lifts as you press down, but your legs stay where they are, so your spine stretches out, and that was super painful for me because it's it's your spine stretching. Well, not literally stretching, but all the nerves there kind of freak out, and it's like, oh god. So, fortunately, I think everything's kind of back to normal now. So, let's see. So we have toggle, invert, smooth look. So all of these and this. Okay, so these all need to have text quest, audio, fmod, UI. These are just going to be settings buttons. With the button click for the positive sound, off sound is button click negative, and the target one changes from person or from thing to thing. So this is going to be, you know what? I'm going to actually just make this a custom enum because the enum that I'm using there is obsolete and doesn't need to be used. I don't need to rely on it, so I'm going to make a new one. This is going to be our like settings. Settings. Ah, jeez. Bool settings. God, what a terrible, terrible thing. But it's really only needed here, and an enum does make things much easier. So, and I can't really think of a way to associate buttons with particular settings without having an enum, honestly. We're going to make this a text quest thing. We're going to get rid of using Unity Engine. We're going to make this derived from byte. And it's going to be an enum. Okay. So for now, I can kind of cheat over here and go to this, peak definition. So let's just grab all of this for now. I don't need any of that, actually. So we're going to go down to here, go to bool settings, let's paste that in. And let's see, so we don't need any of the audio, because those are all sliders. We need display frame rate, display refresh. We don't need any of those. Or the width and height. We only need these. We don't need any of these for graphics, which is nice. Toggle run, toggle crouch, show word hints. Okay, we don't need. We do need game. We don't need FOV. We don't need amount. We don't need these. Excuse me. Okay. So I don't think I need any of these because these are at the actual controls. No, they're not. This is super weird. Huh. Whatever. These are also archaic. So, okay. So for this, we're gonna need a couple of things. I think display full screen is pretty much good. Okay. So toggle crouch, toggle run. What are all of my options here? Toggle run, toggle crouch, toggle auto move. So let's try to set this up, I guess. So let's try to do it in the same order. Toggle run, toggle crouch, game, toggle auto move is equal to 42. We're gonna make this 43. What else do I have? Invert mouse X and Y. Okay, so we're gonna say game invert mouse X is equal to 45. Game invert mouse Y is equal to. Oh, I was gonna say, why is that different? Okay, is equal to 46. Kind of flatten these out a little bit. Okay, and I think that's pretty much everything that we needed there. Show hints, smoothing, invert mouse, yeah, okay. So I think we're good there. Let's go back here to our settings button sound. So it's using controls, invert. Oh, yes, we're going to change this to bool settings. Bool settings. Bool settings. So this is game invert mouse X. Game invert mouse Y. And of course I'm going to have to go through and fix the options menus that we've already done, but not too bad. Okay, so not what I wanted. Game toggle crouch. Invert mouse Y. Blah 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 blah. Paste that. Paste that. And you. Okay, so let's kind of move these things up. Okay. Show word hints. I'm just kind of trying to group everything together. And we're just going to go ahead and copy this. This is going to be game toggle auto move. Toggle auto move. Okay. And I think that's all we need. I should probably move these up to the top. But aside from that, right? So I have display, the two displays, and then I have toggle run, crouch, auto moves, show word hints. I think I need mouse smoothing still. Show word hints, yep. Okay, so I'm going to copy this, paste this in here, and we're going to say game mouse smoothing. Okay. So that should fix that up pretty well. Let's go ahead and close that. Get rid of this. Okay, I think we're good. So let's let that compile, and we should be able to set that all up. Well, since that's going to take a little bit to compile, I can talk about the thing I was starting to talk about way back at the beginning, about GitHub offering offering private repos for free accounts now, which is nice. So if anyone's using GitHub, you can very easily set up private repos now for free. Hooray! The only limitation there, I think, is that you can only have a maximum of 3 collaborators on any repo if you're in the free tier. But for small teams, that's not really much of a problem. As far as I know, yes, they are infinite size. I think it's basically the same thing as the private repos before. The only difference is the limitation on the amount of collaborators. So, but it's pretty cool. I mean, that's the reason that I moved away from it, because I didn't want to pay, which is ironic because I ended up paying Unity instead for a vastly inferior product. But it seems to it's really cool to see them do that. That probably means I'm going to be moving over to GitHub, not for this project. I don't want to move it again, but for other projects. And yeah, GitLab already had all that, but I do like the GitHub interface. I use Bitbucket, hit my size limit all the time. Yeah, that was always the problem with Bitbucket. Um, Although I thought that I never know how to say their name, Atlesian or whatever. Um, I thought they had another version control thing that they were running, but I don't remember what it was. It might just be Bitbucket that I'm thinking of. But yeah, so GitHub is free now, and GitLab also has free unlimited repos and all that. Okay, so this is going to be so this is going to be toggle run, game toggle crouch, game auto move, game inverse mouse X, game inverse mouse Y, game mouse smoothing, and game show hints. All right, so that's all of those. We can now go. Oh, I need to do it on the apply and cancel buttons too, obviously. So I'm just gonna pull that over here. We'll have both of them be click, except for cancel, which is actually going to be click negative. All right, I think we're good there. So let's go ahead and hit apply on this. Okay, let's go to graphics options, which is all sliders. And anti-aliasing itself, I guess I could apply it to that. So I basically can do it to the anti-aliasing button and then the apply and cancel buttons. So we're going to add button sound to these. I'm just going to make them all say click, and then we'll come down to cancel. This will be click negative. Okay. We're going to go ahead and just do that. Let's go ahead and come up to here, close it off, hit apply. All right. I'm going to hit save on that. I do have, I need to go go to display. I need to change those ones. Root. Let's go back over to here. Content grid. I think I need VSync, which is going to be... Oh, good. It's the same. And full screen. Oh, good. They're the same. Never mind. Don't need to change a thing. How convenient. So let's go ahead and turn these off. We'll give these some tries and see if everything lines up. Oh yeah, source tree totally works with GitHub. I use it all the time for that. That's my preferred method of interacting with GitHub, just because I don't like command line. It's always very frustrating. Which is how you know that I'm not a true programmer, because actual programmers like to use command line. By the way, Garrett, you've been working with HefMod. Is there a way to turn off Studio Debug stuff at the top left of the screen? Because I don't really want that up there all the time. I assume it doesn't actually show that in the builds, but I don't know. It'd be nice to be able to hide it. I use GitKraken. Find it far superior to source tree. I don't know if I've used GitKraken. Well, I haven't used GitKraken. I don't know if I've heard of it before. I'm curious now. I might have to take a look at that. Oh, is it just listed in here somewhere? Ah, okay, right there. Wait, no, that's not right. That's just live update. Debug overlay, which is listed as disabled. Uh-oh. At least I can mess with it now. Oh, there are two. That's interesting. Oh, okay, I get it. Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I assumed that it was somewhere just because it seems like it would be a terrible plugin if you couldn't turn that off, but so I can probably actually turn that off now. Thank you. So I'm going to go to, let's go to options, display. Ooh, wait, what? These are backwards again. Or not? That's correct. That's not. Huh. Okay, that's interesting. Let's go ahead and go back for now. Let's go to game. Okay, so. Oop. Oh. Oh, I must not have changed it. It probably still is looking at that. I'm guessing the same thing for that. Okay, so I apparently need to redo some of that stuff. Or that one might be a little different. That's very curious. I don't know why that one's not switching. Okay, so let's go ahead and stop playing. Let's go check this out. Settings button. Let's see, inverse mouse Y. No, that's, oh, there it is. I didn't change that one. That's interesting. So I just forgot it on some of them. Okay. And here is where it gets annoying. So show hints, that's what it is. Okay. So I can do that. I should probably add tooltips. That would have helped. Oh well. So I think that'll fix those. Let's go ahead and let that compile real quick. Yeah, I actually haven't really run into a situation where I need to debug much about the audio because it never really seems to be chugging anything. But I'm assuming that that will change as I add more and more soundscape. Oh man, this year is going to be an audio heavy year. I know it. The real question is, do I learn FL Studio? Boom, boom. I say that like I, jeez, God, that would suck so much. I'm not good at composing music. I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay, so let's go ahead and play that. Mostly, I also don't want to go down the audio rabbit hole for composing music because you have to buy a ton of plugins. Try and get sounds that you need. Okay, let's go ahead and maximize on play while we're doing this. Click, click, click. Start. Options. Let's go over to game. Show word suggestions as letters. Interacting with objects. Okay. Cool. So that all seems to work. Nice. All right. So let's go ahead and hit cancel. The question is not should you learn, but is there a reason not to learn it? Time. And also the aforementioned expense that I said. Like I already own it. Like I bought FL Studio a while back because it was on sale at the time, and it potentially could be a useful tool. And I mean, I would like to know the basics of it to be able to compose very basic music. But the problem is, like, I can't think along those lines very well. So and plus I would be learning a completely new skill set, which is, I'm not, I'm not against learning a new skill set. It's just time consuming, which is sad for me. Too much. I should time. Anyway, okay. So we have this. I don't know why this is going backwards. Hold on. If vsync is equal to 0, oh, that's why. So we just want to switch that probably. So we're going to say if it's not equal to 0, then we'll do off sound. Okay. So let that compile. And now we need to set up buttons and all that fun stuff for our menus that are not our options. I probably, let's go to display options real quick. We'll give it a second because it needs to compile. I'm sure there's a lot of chiptune centric programs out there. There definitely are. But that's the other thing is like I don't want to do chiptune for my game. I feel like that's the wrong feel for it, ironically. Okay. So let's go ahead and collapse that. We're gonna go to collapse these. Oh right, no, never mind. I want to open this back up. Actually, I want to look at my display options, and I don't have anything. Oh, whoops. Well, no, here's the modal information right there. Um, so let's open this script up. Then I'll yawn. Um, yeah, that's the other thing is like I have no budget for music, so I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place there. Um, I mean, of course, any composer that would work with me would get full control over their audio or their music, so they own the rights and all that. Um, but the trade-off there is that they get no upfront money and they have to work with me. um, okay, so I think what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna just go ahead and say serialize field private int modal confirm. Is that what I apply? Apply sound is equal to 0. Serialize field private int modal cancel sound is equal to 0. We're gonna make these both sound IDs. Okay. That's pretty much all we need to do there. And then when we come back down to here on. Previous resolution, refresh. Frame rate. Why am I yawning so much? On gamma clicked. On gamma selected, I believe is what I want. Here we are. So we're going to say if it's equal to 0, we're going to go ahead and say fmod. Oops, sorry, not that. Fmod sound manager. Ooh. There we go. Sound manager. There we go. Play fmod. We're just going to go ahead and say apply sound. Okay, let's go ahead and copy this. Say else. Okay, and this will be modal cancel sound. So I think this will probably be the cleanest approach I have going forward in terms of handling modal audio. Just because the modal itself can't know all of its buttons. By definition, it just gets fed that information. So I would either have to feed in audio information, which would further complicate things, or I would, or I just need to do this and have the menus handle it. I think it's just going to be easier to have the menus handle it. Are you saying the worst part of their job would be working with you? Honestly, I always overblow how picky I am, but I am notorious for being very methodical in my approaches, and that typically means that I have a lot of specifics that I am trying to do with each piece whenever I work with composers. Now, I mean, in the past when I've worked with composers, I usually give them like a very wide latitude as far as the actual melody goes. But typically, what I do is I'll say like, here's kind of a list of musical inspirations for the tone that I want that I'm kind of aiming for, and then specifically with this game, I want to play around with audio techniques a lot. Because I'm a huge fan of hiding like meaning inside the audio itself. So because obviously this is a text adventure, one of the things that I would like to try to do would be to spell things with melodies, which would be very difficult, obviously. And that's kind of like the more advanced end because I'd want them to try and like spell things out, either with the actual note names or with the shapes and layouts of the notes, or that's the advanced stuff. But then there's also basic stuff like I want to use a shepherd's tone in an infinite hallway, and that's just kind of a fun thing to do. But it means that it just means that my composer has to be open to a not heavy-handed involvement, but involvement from me. And it also means that I have to try to keep up with the composer because composers are crazy fast compared to everything else. Like out of every department that goes into games, composers by far accomplish their tasks the fastest. Now that doesn't mean that that composing is easy or it takes less time. It just means that they're fast. It means that most of the composers I've ever worked with have been very quick when it comes to turning around and getting their stuff done. Okay, so I think we should be able to. Let's go to our display options here. So we're going to make this apply is going to be button click versus button click negative. So let's go ahead and test that out. But yeah, there's usually when I'm working with composers, I just ask like broad strokes. What I do is I like say this is what we're going to be doing. This is sort of the sensibility that we're going for. They go off, do the composition, and then it usually I'll give feedback. I'll listen to it. I take the Koji Kondo approach to music, which is like as soon as a composer gives me the music, I'm basically listening to that like all the time, listening to it on my commute to work, just kind of like trying to pick it out and see if I get tired of the music. Now that's not particularly useful in this type of game because a lot of the music is kind of one-off. It's not so much repeatable. It's not so much a looping thing, but it's a good way for you to just kind of like get to know the intricacies of your music, and then you can say like, I'm not too certain about this particular part. Can we maybe look at that again? But okay, so we're gonna go to just gamma. Yay! Nice. Cool. So all that is working. Um, so I think let's go ahead and set up the extras menu because we don't have that functioning yet. And new game and load are going to be actually new game doesn't need any because there's nothing there. Load might be okay. Actually, I think all we need to do is that. Yeah, okay, we're good. Although I will need a different sound effect for delete so that people know that that's not a thing. Or know that it is very much a different thing. So let's go ahead and go back here. Let's go ahead and stop. So I think we're going to do the extras menu real quick, and then we'll probably call it a night. Um, so I can kind of scrub through and find better sound effects. Ours is working with us very part-time. She has a day job. It's working quite well. Yeah, like I said, they're really fast. So it's not like it's a, it's not like a, well, again, it's not that there's not a lot for them to do. It's just that usually composers are very quick. So, yeah. At this point, it's more like I just need to find a composer and like hash things out. I've just been really bad about that. I've been dragging my feet a lot. Okay, so let's go to extras. Open this up. I think we can do both of these. Maybe. I actually don't remember. Is the credits like it used to be? Okay, yeah. So we're just going to go up here to the back button. We're just going to add our button sound. Make it our button click negative. That's all we had to do for that. Hit apply. It does get a little iffy, actually, because we haven't addressed our inputs yet. Like, we haven't addressed manually typing what the buttons do, or what the buttons require you to type to transition between menus. So we'll get to that probably on Saturday. Because that's not really that crazy. It just means that I have to have a sound effect for specific things. So let's go ahead and open up our extras view, and we're going to go down to content. Let's see, I think I just want it pretty straightforward on all of these. Do that. Most of them are going to be button click, except for our back button, which is going to be button click negative. Okay, pretty straightforward. I like straightforward. Nice and easy. But yeah, I do like working with composers. I love listening to music that was composed specifically for a game I'm working on. Like that is one of my favorite things to do, I think. Um, and like I said, I'll listen to that music for hours on end, just trying to kind of get into the headspace and kind of figure out how I want to use it properly. Which is why I have several albums from unfinished games that I was working on when I was a student that I had composers with, or that I had composers on the project, and some of that music is just wonderful. Oh man, I think one of them actually, one of the composers I worked with ended up going to Volition, I think. Wish I had kept his contact info because it would have been fun to work with him again. He was very, very fun to work with. And then another friend of mine, composer who I'd worked with on a project, he's the one who composed the songs that play at the end of my stream. And I liked his like so much that I was like, can I use these for? Can I use some of these unreleased songs for my my Devstream? Um, okay, so we're gonna go to extras. Let's go to that. Nice. Okay, and I don't want to click on those because those probably won't. Well, I mean, yeah. Okay. Okay. So I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the night. So we have fmod integration for our UI. It is a little awkward just because we're getting this initial fmod warning, which is frustrating, and I'm assuming that it's because I very briefly don't have an fmod listener. So I might just have to move the fmod listener from the UI camera to just be like on the client, and maybe I can just turn it off there, because then it'll exist forever. But, so there are a couple of things that I need to do to get things, to the level of polish that I would like. But for basic audio for the menu, I think that's pretty good. I'm probably going to need to play a couple of PC games and just kind of like go through the menus to see how everything feels. I should probably play Dishonored 2 for that, actually. Like, Dishonored and Dishonored 2 have very good PC menus, I feel. So I'm probably going to do that a little bit later tonight just to kind of get a feel for it. And then experiment with a couple other ones just to see how they're doing it. But, all right, so announcements. Nothing really going, I don't think, for the next week. So we should be back on Saturday for our regular dev stream. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So good to be back. Hopefully everyone's having a good year. Start of 2019 so far. Looking forward to kind of getting another year done and actually making more progress. Um, you'd be surprised how many bugs you find in menus when you look. That's very true. Very, very true. Okay, so I think that's a pretty good place to stop for the night. So, as always, I want to thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.